baik tu dia jadi mereka tahu रेडियो फिजी बहुत रेडियो फिजी रोज सुनता हूँ
रेडियो Fiji 2 देश की धड़कन.
Good evening, Fiji. In this bulletin, Fiji winning the fight against COVID-19. Health protection measures remain. And 1,000 kilograms of meat condemned.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Jackie Spate.
Prime Minister Vorenge Bainimarama says Fiji is one of the few countries poised to completely eradicate community-based transmission of COVID-19. This comes as Fiji has gone 33 days without recording a new case of the coronavirus. Lena Rees has more.
The Prime Minister says Fiji has acted decisively to contain the spread of the coronavirus, and our campaign has seen incredible success.
We locked down at risk regions of the country, banned gatherings, implemented nationwide curfew, closed high-risk businesses, and health screened hundreds of thousands of Fijians.
Bainimarama adds that Fiji cannot afford to end health protection measures as quickly as they were first introduced.
We're currently working with all stakeholders, including in the private sector, to develop a long-term containment strategy which upholds the health of every Fijian and instills confidence in our citizens, businesses and international partners that Fiji is responsibly managing our return to normalcy.
China's ambassador to Fiji, Tianbo, also announced an enormous support package for developing nations that have been affected by COVID-19.
Chinese president made the announcement that China will provide $2 billion over next 2 years to help with COVID response and with economic social development in affected countries, especially developing countries.
Bainimarama has already indicated that he wants to see more Fijians tested for COVID-19 before any decision on easing health protection measures. Lena Rees, FBC News.
COVID-19 countermeasures are expected to remain a while yet, with 3 active cases remaining. Health Minister Dr. Ifiremi Wanganambete says social distancing restrictions on contact sports and social gathering restrictions are based on tried and tested public health priorities in the fight against the coronavirus. Maggie Boyle reports.
Since March, the Ministry of Health has been front and centre of the COVID-19 response.
Our role in Ministry of Health is to provide that scientific and technical opinion, and it's an important opinion that we provide towards government, and government makes the, as a whole, makes the appropriate policy and what needs to be done and has to be done.
Despite Fiji's COVID-19 recovery rate of more than 80%, caution is still key for authorities.
But also we are mindful of the fact that there have been countries where they've had second, third wave of the diseases. And, the Honourable Prime Minister has been very keen from the beginning to actually ensure that we protect this nation as a whole.
On a regional front, Fiji is sharing their skills on how to tackle the virus.
We've also had the capability to also provide expertise to other Pacific Island nations that actually require expertise, because they're also developing their own labs, and some of them are still in that phase of developing their own labs.
Fiji's COVID-19 toll remains at 18, with 15 having recovered and 3 cases currently active. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
The Ministry of Health has struggled to procure certain consumables in the wake of COVID-19, but local companies have stepped up. Minister Dr. Ifiremi Wanganambete says support from the private sector has helped meet the demand for hygiene and cleaning products in fighting the pandemic. Apanisa Wangarundovu reports.
The Health Minister says donations like these from Fiji Chemicals has helped the ministry not just with COVID-19 response but in other services.
The fact that we've had organizations that actually have supported us, apart from what we're trying to do with hand sanitizers, with the important detergents that are important to be able to make sure that we have COVID-free services, these have been very helpful for us.
Dr. Wanganambete says hygiene is key in fighting COVID-19, and these products enable the frontline workers to assist all Fijians.
When all these donations come in, we must remember that these are not limited to Ministry of Health. We have other stakeholders that have been very helpful in the course in what we're doing together. For example, the Fiji Police Force, we're working with RFMF personnel, with NDMO, Ministry of Regional Development. For example, we've had the cleanup campaigns. When they finish cleaning, they have to clean their hands.
Fiji Chemicals Director Darren Fisher says they are grateful for the tremendous contribution of health professionals during these uncertain times.
Well, the donation today is a small part of what we are trying to help the Ministry of Health to do their job in the fight against COVID.
The Fiji Pharmaceutical Services is responsible for the distribution of these donations as well as those procured from overseas. Apinisawangrandobu, FBC News.
Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama has urged the villagers of Vatulele to always be prepared for natural disasters. During his visit to 4 villages yesterday, Bainimarama reminded village elders to teach the younger generation what to do pre- and post-disasters. Sanyani Boiler reports Bainimarama assessed damage and distributed relief supplies to those affected by Tropical Cyclone Harold.
81 houses were completely destroyed, while 180 were partially damaged in the 4 villages on Vatulele. And Bainimarama says it's crucial to always be prepared.
Natural disasters such as this will be happening most of the time due to climate change, so it's crucial to always make sure that everything is ready. This will allow us to save our belongings. This will also help us to save our houses, the school, teachers, nurses and doctors' quarters.
Bainimarama thanked the people of Vatulele for their resilience and for taking the initiative to rebuild their homes after the cyclone. The Prime Minister has also assured them that the government will assist in whatever way possible.
We are here to help you rebuild your life, so some teams are here to assess the damage in the villages that were affected by the cyclone. The 2 villages that I have visited were the same as the villages affected in the Lau group. I was really surprised by the way villages quickly build back after the cyclone and not wait for the government's assistance, and I thank you all for that.
The villages received relief supplies, which includes shelter and hygiene kits, as well as food items. Sanyani Boiler, FBC News.
Prominent supermarkets in the capital city are under the spotlight for selling rotten meat. After a market surveillance last week, the Consumer Council of Fiji and the Suva City Council destroyed 1,300 kilos of meat unfit for human consumption. Pranita Prakash reports the meat was confiscated from 3 supermarkets.
The sale of rotten meat continues to be a major concern, prompting the consumer watchdog to increase their surveillance.
The municipal council were, able to condemn around 1,350 kg of meat. So this very clearly shows us that the sale of putrid meat continues to be a concern, despite knowing that it is not fit for sale. The traders continue to display and sell that to profiteer.
Council Chief Executive Seema Chandil confirms at least 1 supermarket is a repeat offender and has previously been handed hefty fines by the court for unethical practices.
Actually, there are 3 supermarkets involved, and the good thing is that all these supermarkets have been given abatement notices, and 2 will be charged and taken to court. So this is good news. I think we need to take these stringent actions against them so that they can improve moving forward.
FBC News has confirmed that all the meat which was seized has been destroyed by SEC health officials at a Sikiwa facility. Supermarkets defying the food and safety regulation face fines ranging from $5,000 to $10,000 or even higher depending on the level of offending. Pranita Prakash, FBC News.
Up ahead, reviving traditional practices during COVID-19. And Ministry provides free education worksheets.
Pula natang ko aproslan ngarse, go erkraki. Do televizyon navarong na Radio Fiji 1, nandomo ibiti.
Radio Fiji 1, nandomo ibiti.
The Fiji Fijian government has completed phase 2 of the tropical cyclone Harold response, with over 107,000 families provided with relief items. In their bid to continue helping Fijians, the government has received 200 tins from the French government. The National Disaster Management Office is now preparing to distribute these in outer islands. Vanina Rakautonga has more.
After weeks of distribution of relief items, Fiji will now focus on health recovery.
As of today, we completed the second phase of immediate response, having reached over 107,000 families with relief supplies in the declared disaster areas. Excellency, our focus now is on long-term recovery of the economy and the health of all Fijians.
Minister for National Disaster Management, Iniaseru Ratu, thanked the French government for always coming to Fiji's aid.
Fiji, like other small island developing states, is trying to confront this threat in the most challenging of circumstances, but this has stretched our scarce resources to the limit.
French Ambassador Jean-Francois Fizeau says they are always willing to help Fijians.
My very sincere hope is that the people living in these islands and others will benefit from these tents.
Of the 200 tents donated, 81 had been distributed yesterday in Vatulele, while the rest is expected to be dispersed into other parts of the country by the NDMO. Venina Rakautonga, FBC News.
Education Minister Rosie Akbar says the ministry has been providing worksheets for students for free. It's come to light that some internet shops are selling these worksheets. Akbar says parents can access these worksheets from schools and online from the ministry's website. She adds ministry staff are also ensuring that parents don't have to spend on printing.
We have our divisionals and education officers working actually who have worked in their communities and gone out to the extent that they have printed and delivered the worksheets to the children who live in the remote outer areas as well.
The worksheets are not examinable materials, and the topics covered have already been taught in schools. The Fiji Arts Council believes COVID-19 presents an opportunity to revive traditional skills and customs. Director Penny Davuilangi says the sale of pottery has been affected due to the decline in number of tourist arrivals. However, artisans in traditional pottery are now resorting to other alternatives to ensure their artifacts don't go to waste. Chasaina Nunga reports.
It may seem unusual in this modern era that Fijians in various communities are using pottery as a form of currency during traditional ceremonies.
It's an old traditional system and it's being revived. And when we look at it, we are satisfied as from the point of view from the Fiji Arts Council, we can see that these resources are still being utilized and used in a very meaningful way.
75-year-old Kelisita Tasere is a renowned pottery maker who has resorted to bartering her pots or giving them out as gifts because the main customers used to be tourists. Tasere says this is actually reviving a way of life that preceded the introduction of money or other types of currency in Fiji.
We have resorted to other alternatives such as using potteries for gift exchange or barter during traditional occasions. The women and the young generation came to realize that this is a way of reviving our tradition and culture.
Because of the downturn in the tourism industry. But the crisis should also give them an opportunity to think of other ways that they can utilize their knowledge, their artifacts, that brings some satisfaction to them.
The Fiji Arts Council firmly believes that in this unprecedented time, various organizations and ports of entry could purchase traditional artifacts similar to this to showcase what Fiji is renowned for, instill pride among Fijians, and most importantly, to generate the much-needed income for traditional producers and practitioners. Chasaina Nunga, FBC News.
Turning overseas, at least 15 people have died in eastern India and Bangladesh in one of the worst storms seen in decades, and is devastating some of the poorest communities. And Whitney joins us now with the latest in business.
Thanks, Jackie. Coming up in business tonight. Tourism industry hopeful of travel bubble access. And hawkers allowed back into Namaka. Stay with us.
My name is Neha and I'm from Kadavi. And Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.
In an effort to help Fijians during these difficult times, the Nadi Town Council has allowed hawkers to sell in front of shops and supermarkets in Namaka. They were previously not allowed to sell in Namaka, but since the effects of COVID-19 on the economy, the council is trying to help people by any means possible. Details with Felipe Naikaso.
These vendors are grateful to the Nadi Town Council for allowing them to sell their goods along this busy stretch.
I like it because it's rather than staying home, feel bored. I better come and do some selling rather than sleeping and doing nothing. At least something I have to earn.
Only 2 months ago, vendors were told to move after shop owners complained to the Nadi Town Council. However, with COVID-19 affecting everyone, shop owners have now welcomed these vendors back, realizing they too need to earn a living.
From our side, what we can see, it's we kindly so lucky that they've given us an opportunity to do something or to earn something. So they allow us to do some selling on the street.
The town council will ensure that hawkers set up properly and don't block foot traffic.
As long as we operate in an orderly fashion, and people are flexible and understanding and accommodating, some human decency, I should say, then things should be fine.
The council is trying to identify more areas around Namaka where vendors can sell their goods from. Felipe Naikaso, FBC News.
Fiji's government is pushing hard for Australian and New Zealand tourists to return as soon as possible. Under the travel bubble, the two countries are planning. So what could this mean for Australian travellers? We now join Sinifa from HFC Bank with the latest from the money markets.
Both the Aussie and Kiwi were lower in morning trade, but moves were slight as markets awaited a speech from Australia's central bank chief and purchasing manager surveys in Britain, Europe and the United States later on. The US dollar nursed broad losses while the riskier currencies held gains. Investors look to a bright recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic, shrugging off diabolical forecasts and rising Sino-US tension. Minutes from the US Federal Reserve's April meeting released yesterday showed policymakers affirmed a pledge to keep interest rates near zero until they are confident the economy is on track to recovery. Meanwhile, the decline in Japan's factory activity accelerated in May as output and orders slumped, highlighting increasing stress in the manufacturing sector from the coronavirus pandemic. The exception to the broad dollar weakness was the British pound, which remains under pressure following inflation data that fueled more speculation the Bank of England would cut interest rates below zero. That's all for now from HFC Bank, Vinaka.
Turning to today's exchange rates as set this morning. A good day for the Fijian dollar. We were up against the Chinese yuan, US dollar, Kina, the euro and the Japanese yen. We were down against the New Zealand dollar and Australian dollar. Onto the commodities market, crude oil finishing off at $33.54 per barrel. Gold down to $1,745 an ounce, while silver was at $17.86 per ounce. That's it from Business Tonight. We now join Jamie with the latest in sports.
Thanks, Whitney, and good evening in Sports Tonight. New rides for FRU. And Krishna believes community support vital for development. This and more after the break.
Bola, I'm Miri, I'm from Lotoka and I love Gold FM because they play all my classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Thousands of dollars will be saved by the Fiji Rugby Union with the delivery of 2 new buses from China. As Aquila Dharma reports, the $300,000 buses bring more relief for the FRU during challenging economic times.
This timely assistance opens new doors for the FRU.
The generosity, Your Excellency, has proven that even as the world hits pause, sports diplomacy remains a powerful tool for connecting our peoples across our borders.
Of the 2 buses donated to the Fiji Rugby Union by Guangzhou, the capital city of Guangdong province of China.
It is unclear when these 2 buses will hit our roads, but one thing is certain. The Fiji Rugby Union will be saving about $500,000 from this donation.
After looking at the cost of the transport to Fiji Rugby Union, it amounts to about 500 to 600,000. The hiring of buses and so forth every year.
These buses will strictly be used by our national teams.
It's only going to be utilized for our national teams. Whichever team is in camp, we will utilize, if it's the 7th team, then we'll utilize the small one, which has a capacity of 30 seats to drop them to their venue. But if it's the under 20 full teams, then we'll use the big bus to use them on transportation.
The Prime Minister and President of FRU was the driving force in getting the new buses. Aquila Dharma, FBC Sports.
On to Super Rugby, and the Blues are adamant a 2-month hiatus will not dent their early season form. With Super Rugby out there raw less than 2 weeks away, the Blues are preparing to pick up from where they left off. Badminton Fiji is taking small steps towards getting the sport back on track after the green light to resume training and friendly matches. While getting players back to their normal routine, the Federation is mapping out scenarios to adjust to the new norm. Tali Materkula has more.
Proper planning is vital before getting the players back on the courts.
Our committee will get together and see exactly under the conditions what we can do and how can take measures to safely make sure that everyone abides by the rules and the conditions.
Tournament's Vice President Andrew Whiteside says COVID-19 safety measures still stand.
Yeah, we'll have to make sure that there is some distancing, of course, and other primary rules, making sure that there are less than 20 people per gathering.
Fiji National Sports Commission Chair Peter Maisy says it's important for sporting fraternities to abide by the restrictions in place.
I think every sporting body has to realise there's new rules, and there's going to be new rules for a long time, especially if we want to play internationally. And those include putting in place all that government requires under the COVID-19 restrictions.
Badminton felt the COVID-19 pinch in the last 2 months with a number of local tournaments postponed. The Federation will await restrictions to be lifted before staging competitions and tournaments. Tali Materkula, FBC Sports.
Fiji football star Roy Krishna believes more exposure and continuous community support will play a huge role in elevating the performance of national footballers locally and in the Oceania region. Krishna, while highlighting issues, says the biggest challenge is exposure, given Fiji's geographical location being far from countries that excel in football. The Lambasa lad says support from the community also plays a major role, be it local or regional competitions. Krishna says the sight of empty stadiums during tournaments hurt the morale of players, impacting their development. The English Premier League has had a major roadblock in its return to action next month. 6 people from 3 clubs have tested positive to coronavirus, just as teams had started training again. That's your sports tonight. Coming up in Weird and Wonderful, Japan's going to the extreme to disinfect patrons as pubs and bars reopen. Find out more after the break.
Bula, I'm Miri, I'm from Lotoka, and I love Gold FM because they play all my classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
In new media tonight, New Zealand government's contact tracing app, which has been launched, is already raising concerns. While it's designed to help people keep a record of where they have been, some say it's adding another layer of complication. This from TVNZ. And Angie joins us now with all the latest in weather.
Hello to you and to Friday Eve. Yes, we have reached that point where it's time to let loose and relax. The weather, of course, is amazing, but with little setbacks in few parts of the country. Where exactly is the setback? Let's find out. In the west, showers have decided to be a part of the evening phase, but don't belittle your hearts, the showers won't be that harsh. Eastwards from Peck Harbor to Suva, sunshine has been replaced with rain. Cloudy spells has been the in thing for a while now. Showers are drooling, but again, it won't be heavy. Up north, this side has a break. No showers are ready to settle here. At sea, southeast winds 15 to 20 knots, moderate seas. Turning to the tides, low tide at 11:21 p.m. with high tide at 5:35 a.m. Sunrise at 6:26. For tomorrow, in a worst-case scenario, a batch of widespread rain with embedded downpours will move through during the afternoon hours. But in the best-case scenario, most of the showery activity will happen away from the two islands, so we are cool. Tomorrow's temps, Lambasa will hit up to 32 degrees. And looking further on to Saturday, the same pattern will hold for most of the upcoming week. It will not necessarily rain every day, but the number of wet days should outnumber the dry. And that's all the weather news from here. It's back to Jackie.
Thanks so much for that, Angie. In Fiji on Pulse tonight, we ask, should severe penalties be implemented on those Fijians who abuse animals?
Yes, they need to be prosecuted because it is cruel.
Yes, they need to be taken to task.
This is an issue that needs to be taken seriously in society.
It's cruel and they need to be taken to task.
They need to be taken to task because those animals are innocent.
Those who are mistreating animals need to be prosecuted.
In the world of the weird and the wonderful, in Japan, bars are getting ready for the influx of people hitting the pubs. And in order to fight coronavirus, there are some measures being put in place to help those wanting a drink to do so safely. Recapping the main stories for tonight, Prime Minister says Fiji is winning the fight against COVID-19. More than 1,000 kilograms of meat condemned. And pottery artisans revive ancient traditions. Now, for these stories and others, tune in daily to our sister radio station, Gold FM. To our poll question this week, we're asking, do you agree with LTA's compulsory online registration of driving license holders? Visit our FBC website to answer. And our shot of the day. Now, this was sent in by Semin Dao. It shows the sunset over the Rewa River, showing the skyline in a golden hue, which is just absolutely gorgeous. And you can send us newsworthy pictures to email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj. Share it with us via Facebook page, FBC News, and Twitter page at FBC_news. That's your news for tonight. Until tomorrow, Modmanda.
Bula, I'm Miri, I'm from Lotoka and I love Gold FM because they play all my classic hits.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.